AI are powerful technologies. The applications of AI in governance provides an opportunity for India to apply information and technology tools and development and infrastructural constraints. So large data sets and better analytics tools allow for better design policies. Artificial intelligence can increase the efficiency with which the things are done and improve decision making process by analyzing large amount of data. So first, I would like to welcome Dr. Manju Gupta, Dean Academics, IMS Noida. Dr. Manju Gupta,
Thank you.
Dr. Manju, first I would like to introduce ma'am. Dr. Manju Gupta is Dean Academics at IMS Noida. She has delivered training on various IT technologies like Java, web development, digital marketing, basic and advanced Excel, project management, data analytics to various clients like CDEC, Nisbet, Aeros Infotech, Test Enclave, IMS Noida, RGCMS, Vardhman Tires, Nirmal Polymers Delhi, Cognizant, WNS Global, GoDaddy, Trimble Solution India, Synergic, Sintel, and many more national as well as international participants. She is offering performance driven leadership and training experience in the area of IT operations, business creations, team structuring and management, build strategic alliances, drive distribution, successful managing P&L, competitive intelligence, project management skill, and process excellence. She handled the courses of Harvard Business School, HBP Advanced Excel and Modeling, SAP, IBM Business Analytics, Cloud Computing, and Mobile Computing. She interacted with IMA faculty, MIC, and NID professor for innovating teaching practices. Her key expertise area are business strategic planning, business analysis, operation and delivery, industry relationship management, team management, training and development, strong interpersonal and presentation skill, as well as leadership abilities and persuasive communication. So I would like to welcome Dr. Manju Gupta ma'am.
Thank you, Archana. Good
Uh,
morning, Dr. B.K. Murthy ji,
Good morning.
dear students and faculty members. First of all, I would really like to thanks to Dr. B.K. Murthy who graced us, the occasion today and enlightening us about the subject, which is how AI and IoT will continue to transform the business landscapes. So this question will always be in the mind of the students because everybody is listening AI and IoT since long. For last 5 years, it is in very much boom. But how this AI and IoT will continue to transform the business landscape in 2021, that we are looking forward. So as per my own analysis, in the coming years, the technology will see widespread adoption and innovative use case scenarios across verticals such as manufacturing, specifically healthcare, IT, ITS, BFSI, transport and logistic, energy, and among different others, departments and sources. As we all know, IT is creating a global network of smart connected devices which can enhance our life, economy, and businesses. So, this will continue in 2021 also. The mass amount of information we are gathering, it has the power to transform everything from consumer preferences to business landscape to design and functioning of entire cities, allowing them to work effectively and profitably than ever before, which is only possible through IoT and rather AI, I can say. If we look at the industry stats, IoT in India will touch 2 billion connections and yield revenue worth $11.1 billions over the next 2 years. And IoT especially is viewed as a key enabler, driving digital transformation to unlock operational efficiencies. AI, coupled with ubiquitous connectivity, is enabling exponential value being generated by IoT. If we look at today, enterprises are realizing the need for an early adoption of IoT and AI into their operation to gain competitive edge through increased productivity and process efficiencies, which will definitely decrease the cost reduction and sustainable long-term growth. So nowadays, business are looking for long-term growth and of course, sustainable solutions. At the turn of the new year, IoT and AI being scalable solutions, and it will continue to thrive and enable large and small enterprise to develop new intelligent and digital agile business model, be it with regard to augmented real-time interaction with customer, precise insights with customer, improved inventory management, enhanced employee productivity, better resource allocation, effective forecasting, resulting in more efficient business decision. I'm sure there are a lot of IT students and they must be thinking why ma'am is talking in terms of business. But I feel IT and business, IT and management specifically, these two fields are there, IT and management. These are very much interrelated. Without IT, no business can sustain and survive in today's world. And without business, we are nothing. Very simple. You can see the entire business paradigm has changed now. All our business operations are based on IT tools, based on IT services and applications. So that is why we are discussing about how this, augmented real-time interaction with customers, customer insights, inventory management, employee productivity, and better resource, allocation and planning, how this will affect our business decisions. So this is only possible through with the help of IoT and AI. And you people are studying AI and IoT as a subject, but I would really say that don't look at it as a subject only. Go into the depth of application, right? Till now mostly people are aware of IoT application in consumer space, but in the coming year, as per my research and analysis, technology will see widespread adoption and innovative use case scenarios across vertical, specifically in healthcare, transport and logistic, and of course in manufacturing and energy sectors. Today, many markets, places, and workplaces are equipped with sensors, and employees are given wearable devices that can be used to transmit data on a real time basis when they are stationed in the field. All safety measure systems such as CCTV, camera, smart locks are controlled and managed through sensors to ensure a safe working conditions and environment. So I'm sure you must be witnessing all these applications in your daily life also. Whenever we go to any of the mall, you see that the doors are opening by themselves. This is only through the sensing mechanism, and these sensors are controlled by IT applications, IT tools, I can say. And this is again an application of AI and IoT. Similarly, AI is also witnessing large scale, profilation across merit business environment and ecosystem. So really thanks to its capability when it comes to adding, automations, high speed and, decision making, etc. Nowadays, we have intelligent data systems. So for this intelligent data analytics, not only help business better understanding consumer behavior and preferences, but also assist them in designing product that are customized to suit user specific needs, demands, want, and aspiration. So such insight will definitely facilitate business to remain one step ahead of the competition. So any of the business, in order to sustain themselves, in order to profitable become the profitable ventures, they need to be into the competition with the global partners, because nowadays we are doing global business. Most of the business are running in two modes, offline and online mode both. So you have their own e-commerce inventory, e-commerce systems. When we are working in e-commerce environment, then in that case competition is across the globe. So when you have to compete with the global competitors, in that case you need to be very techno savvy, I can say. So all the appliances, all the utilities companies, they will be increasingly leveraging IoT to supplement their customer services and redressal process and mechanisms. IoT's role in operations such as helpdesk CRM is also poised to gather much steam in the years ahead. So this is going to be increased very widely in 2021. If I look at the syllabus of the students, universities have already included IoT and AI into their curriculum. But even sixth standard students are now learning AI. Sixth standard, we cannot never imagine that a sixth standard student who is of age 10 years is learning AI and IoT. So then in that case, your competitors are already there in the society. So in the healthcare segment, which is of course one of the very flourishing sector nowadays, this COVID also has contributed into this sector very heavily, I can say, in positive way also as well as in negative way also. So IoT will drive significant transformation in healthcare, hospital drugs and waste management, robotic surgeries, real-time health monitoring, and diagnostic via IoT will stand to witness increased adoption. So already in healthcare industry, we are using IoT for many years, I think. But nowadays, this is going to be increased. And in 2021, of course, health care sector would be more dependent on IoTs. For enterprise, intelligent edge computings will take precedence over intelligent cloud. Businesses will be able to run data analytics directly on IoT devices instead of the central cloud storage. I think nowadays majority of companies are working on central cloud storage. But then I think business will, able to run data analytics directly on IoT devices instead of, central cloud storage in 2021, which will allow us to quicker processing and ease decision making. IoT and AI will also cover or alter conventional retail formats, making them smarter and better. So these technology will pave the way for better insights in the terms of understandings and dissecting consumer shopping behavior patterns. So I'm sure you must have witnessed whenever we search any of the website for buying a product through maybe Jabong, Mantra, or Flipkart, any of the site e-commerce site. So whenever, whatever the product you have searched, and when you go to your Facebook account or maybe Twitter account, you see that these kind of product always comes in front of your eyes. So this is basically remarketing. So this remarketing is based on consumer behavior, right? So consumer shopping behavior pattern is very important to know when it comes to marketing of the product. So these kind of well-designed algorithm can analyze and tell how long a customer spent time on a particular aisle or inspecting products on the shelf. So I'm sure you all have noticed that, right? Whenever you want to search one product again and again, so this product will come into your eyes number of time the entire day or maybe for 2 3 days whenever you open your Facebook or LinkedIn or maybe your Twitter, specifically Twitter and Instagram and your Facebook account. So this kind of algorithm will analyze that how is your shopping behavior pattern, right? How you inspect the product, what kind of product you look, what is your choices, right? So similarly, autonomous or self-learning AI-powered cars are no more just Hollywood sci-fi, right? Initially, you see only in the Hollywood, but now in the near future, vehicle would come to the fore, which can be controlled via commands from smartphone or any other smart devices. It is already there in the market, but yes, we cannot say that Indian roads, Indian transport system is designed in such a way that we are fully, ready for the full automated cars. No, we are not prepared for that right now. But yes, in 2021, more technology enabled car will be there in the market. So AI and IoTs are also digitizing manufacturing process in many industries, be it quality control, cutting back cost and time, allocating materials and capital input, or catalyzing overall productivity. So, with the host of benefits they offer, AIT and AI are getting more sophisticated and growing at a rapid pace. However, there are certain associated challenges. So, whenever we are, empowered ourselves with technologies, so every technology comes with challenges also, and these challenges need to be addressed heads on if we are to reap the possibility that the future hold. So, whenever a programmer or designer or developer design any of the software or product, so he or she must be already aware with the challenges, what the challenges are coming forward in terms of this product or softwares. So cost interoperability, fragmentation of IoT system, security, privacies, these are some of the key concerns that should be mitigated on priority. We cannot ignore these concerns, and these concerns should be taken care well in advance. So given these aspects, this is my overall observation. I have gone through various research papers. Based on the research papers, I came to this conclusion that IoT and AIT will draw more attention, more investments, and conquer more grounds in 2021. So this gives us the way forward, that how we have to prepare ourselves for the industries. So I would really like to say all the IT students, don't look this subjects AI, IoT, and machine learning. That is not only look it as a subject only. You need to find the practicalities and application oriented learning into this particular fields. So definitely IMS would also give you more insights about this product. But then nowadays the online system is full of informations, right? So you all are mature students, you know better that how we can go through all these tutorials so that we can empower ourselves with the technologies. So this is all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am,
Thank you.
for sharing the valuable words on the AI, artificial intelligence. IoT and data science also. And you like discussed about like benefits, what are the various challenges, and what is the future scope of AI and IoT. Thank you very much, ma'am. So now, I'm sharing the screen. Wait. Now I would like to invite uh, Dr. B.K. Murthy, sir.
Yeah. Good
Uh,
morning. Yeah.
Good morning, sir. Yes, first I would like to introduce Dr. B.K. Murthy, Senior Director. He is a scientist, G and Group Coordinator, Research and Development in IT and Digital India Corporation. He was awarded PhD by IIT Delhi. He is instrumental in the initiation of e-learning activities and contributed for the incorporation of Media Lab Asia. He also served as Executive Director, National Institute of Electronics and IT. He was a member of Technical Committee and Project Approved Board of National Mission on Education through ICT, MHRD. He is currently member of Board of Governors Indira Gandhi Technological University for Women, Delhi, IITs at Allahabad, Gwalior, Tirupati, Kanchipuram. He also served as a guest faculty at IIT Roorkee, Triple IT Gwalior, IP University, etc. Dr. Murthy served in the MITI at various capacities dealing with the technology development for Indian languages, e-learning initiative in the country. He was heading the software industry promoting during 2005 to 2007. He has conceived technology innovation and development, entrepreneurship development, national knowledge network, information security education and awareness phase 2 ICT Academy, Vishwasavarya PhD Fellowship and Young Faculty Fellowship programs. Dr. Murthy research interests include AI, knowledge engineering, object-oriented design, and software definition networking. He has published and presented more than 50 papers in various journals and conferences. Under his able guidance, there has been unprecedented achievements of CDEC Noida, both in the terms of projects and awards. He has executed projects with a total outlay of approximately rupees 150 crore in the area of health informatics, e-governance, smart cards, language technology, and e-learning. About 30 awards have been received. Interlia Manthan Award 2012, Rajasthan State E-Governance Award 2012, Scotch Order of Merit 2013, CSI Nihilant E-Governance in 2013, Indian Merchants Chamber Award 2013, E-Northeast Award for 4015. E-safety device developed by CDEC Noida has been adjudged at most innovative security product of the year 2013, which also fetched the 5th eGovern Secure IT 2014 award, Re-Engineering India Award 2014, Scotch Award of Excellence in 2014. Tamper Evident Recorded Project has been awarded at the most innovative technology of the year 2015. The virtual classroom project for conducting medical education classes at RIMS Imphal at Nigrims Shillong have been awarded the best project of Northeast. So I would like to welcome Dr. B.K. Murthy, sir.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Over to you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah. Let me share my screen so that I can make the PPT presentation. Yeah. Good morning to all.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. So I'm just sharing my screen. So I'll just next half an hour to 20 minutes, I will talk about some of the activities that we are doing from the government using AI, how we can use this. Yeah. So how these emerging technologies, what you are calling as AI, IoT, data analytics, and blockchain, these are emerging technologies which will unleash the digital economy and help in transforming our Indian economy into digital transformation. So that would be, I will be talking about this. Okay, I'll be talking about some of the applications. I will not go into the deep technology proof theorem and some of the explanations. I will not go into the algorithms side. I will be going a little bit of more of applications, how these will be useful in for the government and common citizens as well. So if you see the India total economy, it is becoming a digital economy. That means everything will be on online, and most of the activities will be using the computers and the digital technologies. So if you see our strength, global IT services hub. So, and if you see in the global areas, global scenario across the world, any IT product, if you see that, like the standard saying that for every successful man, there is a woman behind it. For every successful IT product across the globe, whether either it is a software product or a hardware with embedded systems, any of these things, there is at least one Indian behind any product across the globe. So that is the power of Indian IT talent. So large number of, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are very much audible.
Yes, sir.
So large number of e-governance projects we have been doing it, and platforms and Aadhaar, UPI, GST, and all of you are using it. So abundance technical talent is there. Millions of IT people, manpower is there, and they are serving across the globe. So in Digital India, what we are planning is Indian talent and using information technology for India tomorrow. That is the India plus IT equal to IT. So Indian talent and information technology gives India tomorrow. So with these, we are having a lot of data centers, BharatNet, NKN, common service centers. These are all helping our ecosystem to build the ecosystem in the digital economy. So our aspirations should be the software product nation and expand and export the IT technologies, converge, consolidate, and universalize, and digital platforms. We can create aggressive growth in future technologies and next generation infrastructure and the networks that we want to create. So harness the digital technology and foster innovation. That is the key for the next decade that we are planning. So digital disruption is an opportunity and it is not a challenge anymore. And Digital India program exploits all these emerging technologies. So if you see the digital platform, public digital platform, if you see the Aadhaar alone, there are more than 120 crore Aadhaar is their digital database. This is the largest ever database across the globe. There is no other single database which is having this much of size. And if you can, crores of authentications are happening every time. So there are 3,104 crore authentications are happening using Aadhaar card alone. And GEM government e-marketplace, it is like Amazon for the government procurements. There are no tenders and other thing. Directly people can go, just like Amazon, you are buying the goods and then consumer goods. From the government side also, if we want anything, we can buy directly from the GEM. That is the one. And UPI, most of you are all using it. 1.5 lakh crore by last June 1990. This is the last year figure. Already people are using it, and this is the one of the UPI has the largest growth, exponential growth of more than 800 times increase over a period of 3 years. There is no other application in the world which has that much of potential and growth. And GST and another network which is there for collecting all the GST collected from various people. So that is also is another big network that is there. So this is the public digital transform. That is the power that we are having it if you have create a lot of public digital platforms. I'll give an example, another example. So now farmers, if you can say the agricultural platform alone, and for the farmers, there are many type of applications which are there for the crop insurance, right from the seed subsidy, electrical subsidy, agricultural input, soil health card, and e-norm, and then insurances, crop insurances, online mandis, land records. If you combine, there are at least 30-40 different applications are working in silos. So what we are planning is combine all these applications using the data analytics, and you can have a single sign-on platform for the farmer, and he can enter his crop right from the beginning, and from the seed subsidy to the agricultural produce, where he can go and then sell the things that agriculture produce. That mandi information also will be getting on his fingertips, on his mobile or the platform. So that is what we wanted to use it. With these things we can have I'm sorry. So digitized land record, soil health record, crop insurance, seeds fertilization, irrigation facilities, tractors and farmer subsidy, warehousing, where he can get the farmer tractor, where he can get the loan, or where he can get on rent the tractor and then do the farming, warehousing, linkage to the market, animal husbandry. All these things can be given different applications which are there. You can combine into one single application from one platform as a single sign-on. The farmer can get benefit. The next, similarly, if you see the industrial automation, 30 to 40% reduction in operation cost can have it. If you can see these robots in Bajaj factories or IoT in L&T. So if you see the building construction in L&T, if you can see that the labor or the workers who are working in the buildings, they are wearing some certain specific helmets, you must be seeing it. So these helmets are having some IoT devices where these will give complete information about where all they are going, whether they are actually working in the field for the labor for the construction work, or they are sitting in the somewhere in the canteen and then having the tea or something. So what they are actually doing or gossiping. So this information you can get it by the supervisors. The supervisory load has been reduced tremendously. So end-to-end digital supply chain, if you can use it in a transport, Madam Manju Gupta was talking about this use of AI technologies in supply chain management or the transport. So some of these things can be reduced. Similarly, in the efficient transportation and logistics, 30 to 30%, 35% reduction in the fleet management and turnaround time can manage with using by AI and data analytics. And universal agriculture, some of these places that what we are doing is the farmer can find out, like you are having a Ola Uber, the lorry services also will be available to the farmer, so that whatever the agricultural produce that he has developed, he has got it from his farm. If he wants to sell it in the nearest mandi, the tractor, the lorry will come and then truck will come and then take the load and then go to the mandi. And before going there, find out what price that he can get it. And if there is any the price difference, the same lorry can or truck can take the agriculture produce to other mandi, nearby mandi, and then sell it. So these are some of the applications that we are doing it. And precision agriculture using IoT, you can save a lot of the water and other thing. Right time you can put the water for the plants. So that is very important using the precision agriculture. And digital content delivery is another important thing for the students. And most of you during the pandemic are getting online services from the various infrastructure, including the National Knowledge Network. So with these things, there are 30 different applications that have been identified with different domains: energy for all, quality education, healthcare, e-governance, IT infrastructure, and next generation finance, and doubling farmers' income, make in India, made in India. All these things are possible. And these applications are amicable for using the IT technologies. We can use the emerging technologies for the benefit of a common man. So if the important thing for all these things, there will be a data which is generating by these applications, and each application will be in silos they are working in. So now what is happening is the data, same data is required. Like for example, your passport and then your information, Aadhaar card and other information are required for any of these applications. If you are applying for a job, you require these details, your identity details. If you are applying for a driving license, you require. If you are applying for a job, you need some of the data which is there. But most of this data is from other department. Your educational qualification has been given by your university. Your 10th class certificate and 12th class certificate was given by the CBSE, is another government department. So when you are applying for a job in, say, for example, MIT or NIC or any other place, why this government organization should ask a certificate issued by another government organization? So this data must be available with respect to department. So if I want you to recruit, if I want from my department, if I want to recruit IMS students, I should get their 12th class certificate and BSc certificate and BTech certificate and then BCA certificates from the university that is there. I can directly access and then verify them. So that is what we are planning to create, a national data highway. So the solution is open API platform, where national digital highway, where the individual applications when you are applying for scrutiny for a particular job or a driving license or for PAN card or caste certificate or CBSE mark sheets, these individual applications will be there. All these things will be creating the data. Different state government and central government departments or university or industry, all these things can use the data. So that's what we are creating, a national data highway. It is an open API platform. Each application will run individually, but at the same time, this data can be shared by commonly by these applications. So building a value-added services with API gateway, what we are having is government having the different eKYC and academic services, financial services, health services. All these people will be using the common digital locker, where all these certificates, including your driving license, Aadhaar card number, will be available in the digital locker. So one has to, suppose if I want to verify an IMS student's authenticity and certificates, I can go to the digital locker and then take his digital locker certificate and then verify it. So that is where the application need to be built. So now immediate target API transforms the transformation that we are doing. It's date of birth verification. It is another issued by another government department. Address verification. Your municipality has given that address verification. Driving license verification, PAN verification, all these things, passport verification, bank account verification, caste verification, income certification. All these things are available in some or other government departments. We can use the data which is there for your verification, so that the customer or the client need not give all this data. And then sector-wise benefits, education, finance, health, and other, these people can use the data analytics and then find out their benefits. So National Digital Health Blueprint is another thing that we are working on, an integrated experience for patients for offering by different health insurances and other people. Again, different departments are there. If we can combine all these things, health records which are there, this we can have a uniform electronic health record in single place, where if you are going one hospital to that hospital, you need not carry a big bag containing all the X-ray reports, all the EMR reports, or the EHR reports, all the prescriptions, or what medicines are given by the another doctor. All those things you can avoid it. So that is where all these things that we are working on. So the benefit for that is, any patient which are going for this, that's PMJAY, that is Prime Minister's Arogya, what is that? Bharatiya Arogya Praman. So where Ayushman Bharat, what they are calling it. So beneficiary will directly go and then have a registration in the hospital. You can go and then diagnosis and admission will be done. Hospital and the coordination will be verifying with the insurance agents, and the claim management will be taken care of online or from the beneficiary, and then directly the patient can directly go and then have his treatment in the same hospital, while the verification is going parallelly on the from the verification side from the insurance agent, and the doctor's claim also will go separately, and the account officer will run everything seamlessly from the health insurance agent to the respective people. So that is how the whole plan is being done. This is what we call for the Ayushman Bharat, the national blueprint, national health blueprint. So for doing all these things, you need a high-end network which is required, infrastructure is required. So what we are planning is, we are trying to set up a national government network across all the government departments in each state, and across all 30-40 state government or central government ministries also. So in all these departments, we are trying to have a complete 30 lakh nodes of network, huge network, consisting of hundreds of gigabits of bandwidth for each of these institutions, and the national knowledge network consisting of at least 10 gigabits for each of the IITs and IIMs and institutions of higher education, at least 10 gigabit. And you can combine with these things all the PHCs, hospitals within a district or within the state into a single network, and all the police stations, all the educational institutions, all the government departments in a state also in a single network. where a seamless integration right from the ASHA worker who is there to the Ministry of Health, where we are trying to get the information from the Ministry of Health from the ASHA worker of the remote village. That data also can be pulled or pushed in, and within no time a seamless integration for doing this. I am directly involved and head of this group where we are setting up of this network across the country. So this network, once it is there, all the PHCs, all the schools, all the government offices, universities, IITs and ITIs, higher education institutions, and the institutions of higher learning, NITs, IITs, and then all the universities also will be connected into this single network. What it finally appears is, it is a different networks, and finally DII, Digital India Infoway, will be network of networks. So that is what we are creating it. It is like a big highway where each individual village have their own village network and then can be connected to the highway. So for doing all these things, you need a lot of manpower. So you need skilled manpower. If you see that around 10-15 years ago, a person who doesn't have enough background of IT, still they were given enough some small training of in software, and they were taken into the software industry. Whoever has done minimum graduation, they were inducted into software, where the software industry is the one which can accommodate all the people with all the qualifications into, and then observe them into the, and giving them good salaries and then jobs. So now, but with these technologies that we are talking about, the emerging technology, AI and other things, you need to be skilled, reskill all these employees. For that, what we are expecting is there will be a job requirement of around 60 to 65 million people will be required in the next 5 years. And for that, at least 40 million people who are working in the industry need to be retrained. So for that, we have creating what is called a Future Skills Program online platform for giving them training in the AI and other technologies, IoT, data analytics and data science and data visualization and data analytics platforms, and how we can create these things. So that is another thing that we are working on. So public digital platforms, we are planning for Future Skills Platform. We have just talked about it, National Digital Health Mission, integrated multimodal logistics, and GSTN platform, leveraging and then identifying the fraud detection by some of the people who are now try to evade the taxes, and talent marketplace, National Digital Document Exchange, which we are talking about the exchange for different departments where your qualifications are required to be verified. That can be done using the document exchange. You need not give the enclose the copies of your certificates. National education platform to provide a personalized learning for students, and urban e-governance platform to enable seamless citizen services workflow, that like the Umang that we are talking about, all the government services on your mobile if you want to have it. So all these things are available using these public digital platforms. So for that, what we are planning to have is a national program on AI. We are now creating it. This is just about to be approved. So where AI platforms will be there, private sectors also will be there, and center of excellences, startup companies, and social or sector or NGOs also will be there. The civil society will be the major user and contributor for using this AI program. And of course, academic institutions like yours, the professors and academic people and the students will be contributing for development of capacity building and designing a lot of R&D projects. And awareness and communication is one important thing, where all the people, the public at large, will be given some course and some introductory awareness program about how to use these AI systems, AI mission mode projects for getting your benefits of artificial intelligence, like the agricultural platform or the healthcare sector that we are talking about. All these things that we are planning to do it in the next couple of years. So priority missions for that is Indian languages. Just like most of you have seen the Alexa, can we have directly speech-to-speech translation system? If someone is talking in Punjabi, I want to listen in Hindi, and someone in the down the south, they would like to hear the same Punjabi language, the meaning of it in their mother tongue. Say for example, Telugu. I am a Telugu speaking person and someone of you are speaking Punjabi. If I want to understand, I should hear the Telugu text, if even though you are speaking in Punjabi. So that is where we are trying to create an ambitious mission of text-to-text translation and agriculture, which I have already talked about, public digital platforms, and healthcare, Ayushman Bharat, and doubling the resources, halving the costs of medical diagnostics and medical screening and other costs which are involved in, reduce those things, and then increase the resources, increase the healthcare reach to the common people. And education intelligent tutoring system, how you can get a personalized teaching for each of these individual students based on their learning abilities. Then finance, detection of financial frauds, and some of the people are tax evasions and other things are there, how to curb those frauds, that is another important thing. And public chatbots, suppose somebody wants to have the insurance claim, and how to provide necessary legal assistance for this legal chatbots also we want to create. And transportation is another important, smart traffic management, Indian navigational systems, and urban development is another issue, smart cities that you have already talked about it, and Swachh Bharat machines which are there in some of these. I have seen in some of the cities, even the municipal scavengers who are sweeping the roads, they need not go and then certify that I have swept the road and other thing. They just take the photograph of the road which they are going to sweep before and after that, and then that is the more for the authentication of their work that they have completed, rather than going and then writing a long textual information about description about what work they have completed. And cyber security is another one. So one of the things which I can show immediately, the application that people are developing is that the Swachh Bharat mission, there are a lot of toilets are being constructed across the country. In order to avoid the misuse of the information, whether they have really constructed those toilets or not there, the toilet figures, they are supposed to, the contractor is supposed to take the pictures of the toilets and then upload in the national portal. So there is an AI system, directly image processing system. They will identify whether similar pictures are available elsewhere else, or he has taken the real toilet picture, or it is only just one of the toilet which is there in his house or somewhere else, and then put it, and then he is claiming the compensation for the construction of the toilet, the contractors. All those things can be identified very easily using the image processing and AI and IoT technologies. So we are in the government also, we are using these technologies for the benefit of common man. So ultimately, what we want is a common man should have a complete digital platform in his mobile handheld device, and get benefit. The transformation of this type of farmer, which is required e-Mandi. So I can now, he has agricultural produce, he want to sell it. The e-Mandi is the platform that he can, from the mobile, he can access it and then get better rate for his farm produce. And if he has a bank account and Aadhaar number, and then directly transact for financial needs. And his life insurance and health insurance and then crop insurance, all those things can be done from his mobile. And his subsidies, whether he is getting directly from the bank accounts or not there, he can verify that. And similarly, the same thing, he wants to do any of the post office and that transactions, other things that he wants to, he can go to the nearest CSC and then do all the transactions also, and the certificates that he can produce, he can submit it to the e-post offices and then CSCs. And also, if he wants to get his birth certificate or somebody's death certificate, other certificates, he can go to the nearest CSC of his village and then download those certificates, including his Aadhaar card and then Ayushman Bharat card and other things. So their children's education also will be taken care of by Swayam and Swayam Prabha, the MHRD portals which are there. And he can also do online courses for his children and for his education. So finally, we want to transform a common man's life with digital technologies. That is the main objective. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Any quick questions I can take for 1 or 2 minutes. Over to you, Preeti.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you for your wonderful presentation and the knowledge you have shared with us. Student, if you have any query, kindly feel free to ask, sir.
Student can ask any of the question if they really wanted to ask. I think Dr. B.K. Murthy has given wonderful insights about all the government initiatives, during IT missions. And I was really happy to see that the priority mission area of the government is specifically Indian languages, agriculture, health, education, finance, transportation, urban development, and cybersecurity. So this I was talking about in my own session also, that in 2021, how this AI and IoT is going to leverage the society.
And Atmanirbhar Bharat to
Yes, yes.
manufacturing, electronic manufacturing, we are giving a lot of incentives.
Electronic manufacturing. So, sir, anything which is going into the healthcare, specifically into healthcare
Yes,
sector?
yes, healthcare devices and then COVID vaccines and this lot of things are there. You might be seeing in the media reports also when the PPE kit and other things, the normal fabric industry, this textile industry came up, and then all these people who are designing the designer suits and other thing, no, the manufacturers of lot of garment industry, they
Right,
came
right.
forward that then now we are even exporting the PPE kits to other countries.
Yes.
So earlier we were importing these PPE kits. Now it is available. So I remember very well the 7-8 months ago the PPE kit was costing around 1,000 rupees. Now you can get the PPE kit for 100 rupees also.
Hmm. Hmm.
So use and throw type of thing.
I would really wanted to ask, I mean, so generally students always think that they are doing IT courses, be it BCA or MCA, and they always think that their career would be in, development only. So they always have that preoccupied mindset that doing BCA, MCA or BTech means that they have to become a developer. But I think, as you mentioned, that this is the mission area of the government, which is purely IT driven, right? So
Yeah,
that means there are
I
so
want to
many
say
factors.
one thing that in any software development, if you are talking about, the coding is only just 10%. So
Right.
many of the applications are there. You have to do a lot of other things also. You have to design the programs. You have to design the user interfaces. You have to design the outputs. You have to test it. So these are all the things that require enormous amount of IT knowledge. Even the planning also. So it is not necessary that you have just completed computer science course and then you will be you end up with doing the developmental work only. So a lot of planning and management exercise is also required. Project management is required. So all those things are being taught in these courses. It is not like the coding only. Programming is only
Coding is
10%
one
of the
of the
total
area.
software development.
Right, right. Even business process re-engineering, one of the major aspect of
Exactly, exactly.
doing IT courses.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. You have
Thanks a
graced the
lot.
occasion
Thanks
today,
a
and
lot for
that's
engaging.
too. I mean, from your busy schedule, sparing 1 hour is again a big time. So I'm really very, very thankful to you, sir. And in future, we would really wish that you sometime come to our campus and bless our students with
Yeah,
your
definitely.
precious knowledge. And of course, student would be highly benefited by your session today also, and of course, in coming future also.
Yeah.
So
Thank you very
thank you,
much.
sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm signing off. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you, sir. And students, if you have any query, you can ask. You can write in the chat box.
So might be they have understood everything, Hana?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Might be they have understood.
So let's close this session. Thank you,
Yes, ma'am.
sir, and thank you all the faculty members and students.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. And ending the session now.